All right. Welcome back to another episode, GPPD Podcast. I'm your host, KD, with
Nate.
Okay, so before we get started, a couple things. Hop online. It's grandprairiepolice.org, and you can see what we got going on. So
He's saying that because we know we have a test coming up, but none of us know exactly when it is.
yes. So get online and start that personal history statement, all 58,000 pages. May take you a while. All right, so today'll be good. So we have Mr. Stan with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I see him every day. Every day. Yep.
Yes.
Happiest guy in the building.
Yeah, try to be.
No, we appreciate the energy.
Yeah.
Because those mornings come early. And now I see Stan walking across the parking lot. He yells at me as I'm dripping sweat over there working out. So trust me, I need it early in the morning.
I always run into him after I've spent like a couple hours working with Matt. I'm fighting my demons and usually pretty angry and frustrated. And I see Stan. I'm like, oh, look, there's some nice sunshine today.
Wow.
Someone who's very good at their job.
Yes.
You are most kind.
Yes. All right, so let's jump into it. First off, because usually, like when we're talking to police officers, we all get it. What is your title?
Support services are AKA maintenance assistant.
Okay.
Take care of the building.
I was going to say AKA knows everything about the building.
I don't know about
You
that.
say assistant because you kind of seems like you're in charge of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've got help whenever I need help with facility services.
Okay.
So I, work with them as well
Okay.
if they need, or if I need their assistance if something comes up.
So do you have like a current set of things that's generally your responsibility, or because it seems like anytime nobody knows what exactly is broken
like, let
or
me
needs to be
send Stan
fixed,
an
like,
email.
let's just email Stan. Like,
Yeah,
he'll
and
figure it out.
I'll get emails, or in fact, I've had a few already today, just different things. I think we've got a broken head up there in one of the showers in the men's locker room. So I've already, checked on that. We'll be repairing that. But, I get either emails or people talk to me, passing in the hallways of this is going on, this
Like
has got
I
a
do.
issue here or whatever. But I can clean up coffee or hang pictures, or did a lot of fleet stuff before, we were able
you?
to get some guys to do that now. So I miss that. I enjoyed doing, decking out the cars and all that. But whatever I can do to help
Yeah.
Well,
keep this building running.
whoever broke that shower head, there's a secret camera in there, so we're gonna charge you. We know who did it.
It's Katie's camera. And it's in the men's locker room. Do you have a pretty good memory then?
I would say I do, yes.
Okay. I say because when you're talking about how people are grabbing you in the hall saying, hey, do this, do that, I'm already like,
I forgot.
by the time I can't hear you anymore, I've forgotten whatever you said.
Right.
You have to email me.
Yeah,
And even if you email me, I have to click the red flag so that I don't overlook it.
right.
I'm bad.
Yeah. Well, if I either get, like I said, emails, or, they'll just tell me verbally, or
Yeah.
I try to get on it, whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
delay.
You have anything that's, since if you're taking care of a little bit of everything that's just ridiculous or absurd, that like someone said, hey, this needs fixing, and you're just like, what?
Well, sometimes, but if it's something that maybe it's something that's too large to handle, whatever the case might be, then that's when I'll call it backup, from facilities, and I'll put in a request to them, and coordinate through them too to send somebody over to assist me.
Is that like the what is that water feature coming up the steps in the front? Like there's no water in there.
Yeah, I just noticed that today. I was not aware of that. I'm going to check with facilities to see what the deal is. Why the water's not running out
Doing a
there.
podcast, he's not working.
Okay.
Leave the man
I
alone.
need water, Stan.
No, that's all right. I like to be told when something needs to be done.
Now sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to know. You don't have to say names, but do you have this one? Do you work with certain companies that you're like, oh, every time we call these people, they drag their feet or they don't fix it? Like, you don't have to give us names, but come on, give me that tea. Spill it, Stan. Let's go.
I mean, I have.
See, he does.
See, I've got certain vendors that I do deal with.
Okay.
Of course, our elevators. we have them checked periodically.
We're going to talk about
And
this.
then,
Yeah.
no, we don't need to spend a lot of time on that.
We do, because I'm scared of elevators, and these elevators made me more scared.
Yeah. And then we've got Centos, the people that come out for our carpets,
Yeah,
and that's weekly.
Okay.
And they also, of course, bring towels and stuff for the locker rooms. So,
we appreciate
you know,
Centos.
yes. So,
Very much so.
anyway, I've got different vendors that I deal with. Sometimes Siemens will call me, which is the people that do some of the stuff with the IT folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, they've got my cell number and they'll let me know they're in the building if I can, intercept and get them to the IT folks. So it's just different people, different vendors.
So we
That was
get
a
an
neat,
email
super political answer. He didn't answer your question
at all. I was like,
But it sounded good.
I like it. We're going to call you out today, Stan. It's
That's
okay.
fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'll be ready.
But it seems like we get an email every day with these elevators. How old is the building?
I believe it's 12.
12 years. Is
Yeah.
that about normal for elevator?
Actually, maybe 14 now.
Oh.
It's moving at a clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 2010. So 14.
Yeah. Like, I'm with him. I'm scared of elevators.
Right.
And so, like,
That's why we have stairs. Anyway,
I'm lazy, first of all.
I'm like, how many people have been stuck on elevators here in this building that you can remember?
well, I was told of one, and that really had me concerned. And then,
Wait, is he still there?
yeah, I actually had somebody with the fire department the other day actually call me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had my cell number, and he said, "Hey, Stan, are you in the building?" I said, "Oh, yeah. What you got?" He said, "Well, I'm stuck on the elevator." I said, "Okay, I'll be right there."
Oh, you know how to
So-
unstick them.
Well, there's things that I can do to keep from having to call the, elevator people.
Wait, Stan, if I'm on the elevator, what you doing to open that door and get me to the right floor?
Well, I just have to do some stuff like I'm able to turn the machine off and basically kind of reboot it, to where it.
Hang on a
I
second.
don't know that I want you
Gets me.
rebooting the
When we're stuck
elevator
in
while
the
I'm
ele-
on it.
Yeah,
The elevator solution is turn it off, turn it back on again?
yeah, sometimes. But anyway,
So my fear is
hate
that I'm on the elevator, but I got to pee real bad.
right.
What's the in the corner or in the middle? What's the best place?
Well, poor planning on your part shouldn't constitute an emergency on mine, so I don't know what to tell you on that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
I don't know. So
My fear is falling.
no, they don't fall that. Don't they have like
No, they don't,
emergency
no.
brakes, magnetic brake? How does
Yeah.
that work?
I don't know the
Oh, okay.
ins and outs of it, but again, they come out quite often just to do regular maintenance, make sure they're all working properly.
Yeah.
That's why I got nervous
they're
about
fine.
elevators, because one, they're slow, which is fine.
Yeah, there's
But,
nothing you can do about that.
yeah, but I get all the email saying, yeah, it's maintenance or whatever. And I'm like, God, is this normal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what scares me.
Well,
But
I try not to send out emails if I can.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
but
you shouldn't.
but if they let me know that it's going to be down for a while, especially
Yeah.
the employee
Yeah.
elevator at 11 o'clock, I know that the lunchtime is fixing to happen, and
Yeah.
people need to know that don't try the elevator.
You can't ask detectives to walk to lunch and then walk back upstairs.
Okay,
We'll fall asleep at our desks.
okay,
Gotta take the
I'll
elevator to
remember
save the
that.
energy.
Yeah, great.
the elevator's out. I'm not taking lunch today. I'm gonna work through.
No, you come back from lunch, you go, elevator's out. I'm going home.
Wow.
I gotta go put my gas in my car for 5 hours.
Oh, that's funny. All right. So first off, how's Miss Stan doing?
She's doing absolutely
Tell her
fantastic.
I said hello. and
All right.
She can take the next class because it's my class.
Okay, well, she'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
You were her favorite.
Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got it. Jealous.
Told you. Now, you we were talking a little bit earlier, and you made the comment that you've been here about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I say about the same time. I guess you hired on in 16?
17.
17, okay. My cop math is not my strong suit. So obviously you've done plenty before that. How did you want to run us back to your early life and kind of let us know how you got started with things?
Well, it started a long, long time ago, guys. It back in the 70s when we moved to the city called Coppell. And growing up in Coppell, of course, I grew up watching shows like Emergency and One Atom 12 and Dragnet. Anyway,
Don't act like you don't know. You know exactly what those shows are.
Oh for 3.
they're all okay. That's fine. They're police shows and fire shows, so that was kind of already in my blood at a young age. I remember my dad back, and y'all probably don't remember this either. A place called Kmart.
Yeah.
The place. Okay, good. Well, anyway, my father went because he knew my love for police and fire. Again, back in the 70s, he went to Kmart and he bought me a scanner to listen to police and fire.
Oh, cool.
And I still remember this, is that he brought it home. He was so excited. And my dad, mom, and my brother, we all piled up in the bed and got it all plugged in, and we turned it on, and we're sitting there and we're listening and we're listening and we're listening, but we're not hearing anything.
Right.
And it's like, what in the world? Well, so then we discovered that it takes crystals to put in the scanner itself. So they have frequencies. So had to go back to Kmart, or back in the day, Radio Shack, that no longer exists, and you would buy crystals to where you would tell them what frequency, like let's say Dallas Northwest was 460.075. Well, you would put that crystal in, and it being a UHF channel, so then you would hear their traffic.
Okay, stop. What is a crystal?
Thank you.
Well, it's a little bitty, I don't know, it's just a little deal that's got 2 prongs that you stick in the back of the radio.
So not like a shiny rock.
Yeah.
No.
That's
a crystal to us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was I thinking? Anyway.
I'm like, rocks?
No.
I was
it's
like,
not, it's
man,
not,
I knew it was a while ago, but like y'all did some magic shit.
Pour
back
these
then.
rocks in there and I listen.
I'm sorry. So, no, it's a crystal. Like I said, back in the 70s.
All right.
So,
That's part of what threw me off. I was
yeah, I
like, this
think
is
it
right out
did.
of the 60s.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So anyway, once we discovered that, then man, I was in hog heaven. I mean, I was listening to police and fire, in the DFW area. In fact, back in those days, Coppell was on the same frequency as Addison, so I got to listen to 2 cities with one frequency.
Cool.
So, my love for police and fire then. So, us being such a small town back then, 1,500 people. I found myself up, actually one day I remember going up to where the dispatcher was, and it was an older gentleman. Anyway, it was just, the room was much smaller than this one, but I would just go up there and just stand there and listen to him, And, of course, back then there wasn't very many calls at all in Coppell. But we had the volunteer fire department, so because of my love, I wound up becoming a volunteer firefighter. I guess I was at the age of 15, 16. So,
15?
That was legal.
yeah, we did things. Well, we did things a little different back then because I remember knowing the police chief back then, of course, and because again our city was so small, I was allowed to drive a car from my house to school. I had that permission to do that.
By the police chief.
That's right.
Hey,
so
yeah, go ahead, drive. Man.
so anyway, so everything was fine with that.
That's
so
awesome.
so that getting on the volunteer fire department, and listening to the scanner and this and that. So that was my love. Well, that particular chief told me, whenever I graduated that, I could be a dispatcher for him. So there was the opening and I put in. And so in 1984 was when I started on my 20th birthday dispatching for Coppell. And so dispatching police and fire, which again was volunteer fire department. So I dispatched for them until 1987, which I knew and grew up with the Louisville fire chief. Mm-hmm. And back then there was only 2 cities that had separate police and fire dispatchers. Number one was the city of Dallas, and I guess there was 3, Farmers Branch, and then Coppell. So, Louisville. So Chief Corbin, he hired me in 1987, and I dispatched just the fire department. So I was in the Central Fire Station.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I knew then this is it. I'm going to retire right here. I will be here when I'm 70 years old or whatever, because this is it. Yeah. I mean, I had the plate glass window. I could see the fire trucks roll out after I bumped them out, and man, it was just hog heaven. So that was in 1987. Well, in 1990, Chief Corbin came to me and he said, Stan, I got good news, I got bad news. Because, and going back to Coppell, I was there when I started, we wrote all the calls down, we answered the phones, wrote all the information down, paper and pencil, and then we had sheets of paper that we would keep up with the calls, in Coppell. So I was there when the enhanced 911 came in, which was not a 7-digit number, but it was the 911 where it brings up your address. Okay.
What do you mean such a 7-digit number?
People would call 7 digits. It really wasn't a 911 back then. Yeah, for emergencies. I'm sorry. You with me?
Yeah.
This is way back then.
Yeah, like a phone number, 972.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but
I'd
then
be
911.
shit, I like if I was
Yeah,
an
because
emergency,
I can't remember.
that.
I can't remember none of that.
So 911 came in, and in Coppell, when the enhanced 911 would bring up your address. So I was there during that time, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Technology is incredible. So whenever Chief Corbin hired me up in Louisville, that's when he'd come in and tell me, he said, Stan, I got good news, bad news. Bad news is you're going to be going over the police department because we're going to combine y'all. And because of that, it's because of the enhanced 911 that's coming here.
Sure.
So I'm like, well, this was a wonderful 3 years that I got to spend in the fire station. So now I'm going to go back to where I'm doing both again, like I was in Coppell. So
Did you feel like you were part of the firefighter police beef?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, I worked with the police department, even though they were in the building next to us from Central Fire Station. They'd call us on an intercom, hey, got a major accident, wherever. Oh, okay. And then we would look up the information on the cards. I mean, this is going way back. There was no computers. So on the cards, okay, engine 1, medic 1, they go on this, and here's the cross street, here's the box number. Write all that down, then I'd tone them out, and off they'd go.
And you tell them where they're going?
Yep, tell them where they're going. So, anyway.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
you're fine.
I think when I was in Dallas, I think I heard this. We used to use a phrase, you can put the call in my box, or you can stack it.
Yep.
Is that where it came from?
That's right.
The cards in the box?
That's
Okay.
right.
That's
Yep.
funny.
Yeah, because I remember, again, listening to Dallas, and, of course, I won't say, well, I always loved listening to the dispatchers because of the voice. I never saw them, but I would hear their voice. And so I would mimic, those that I thought were just top of the line.
Right.
And there was an old gentleman that worked Dallas, Northwest Channel 5, and his name was John, and he was incredible.
Right.
He knew what was going on. I mean, when the stuff hit the fan, he knew what was happening. And, there'd be times that, the officers back then would even call him John, on the radio because they were that, to me, close-knit.
Right.
As my career continued, people would say, well, that sounds kind of home style. Well, you call it what it is. We're all wanting to go home at the end of the day, and we're here to get this job done.
Somebody saves your butt a couple times.
Exactly.
You've seen him or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I always enjoyed listening to John. And then I had a very good friend that worked for Dallas Fire and Rescue that was just incredible on the radio. I mean, again, and I've worked with many officers and many, firefighters and fire chiefs that, as y'all well know, the bottom can be hitting the fan, but talking on that radio is going to be all the difference in the world. Yeah. And you talk to them and you go, you know what? I know the whole world's crumbling and falling apart, but you can't tell by their, talking on the radio. They're calm as a cucumber. So, anyway, so back to Louisville. So, wind up going over to the police department, and that was in '87. And as part of that, good and the bad, the good part was that with us combining together, Chief Corbin had told me, he said, you have the possibility of being promoted to supervisor. So
cool.
In 1990, 3 years later, out of the fire department over to the PD, I was promoted, myself and 4 other people. So from 1990 to '07, which was when I retired, I was a supervisor over police and fire 911. Also, somewhere in there, I can't remember exactly what year, but one of our assistant police chiefs, he was taking a shower and he said, those communication supervisors, they do such a bang-up job and they're so good at what they do, and, the way they do their evaluations and this and that and the other, I think they ought to be over the jail. And, of course, we're thinking, really?
Yeah, that's different.
And, yeah, that was different. But we did. They did put us over the civilian jailers. So we had both 911.
Like radio traffic or just?
No, just over the jail operation.
That's wild.
And also, of course, the communications center.
Right.
So we would, go back and forth to the jail, and of course we spent most of our time, because still even back then and even as today, manpower, because it's such a high turnover rate,
Always, yeah.
right? Most of our time we were in the communications room, and usually most of the time behind the desk on the radio,
Right.
answering phones and dispatching still. But again, we were in charge, and I still remember we hadn't been over the jail long, and we'd had our briefing and this and that, and I got a call on the phone one morning and said, "Stan, we need a box back here." I said, "We got Billy Bob's down." And I said, "Oh, thunder." So turns out one of our prisoners had passed while he was in our custody, and as y'all well know, that's not a good day.
No.
So
Yeah, that brings about a lot of investigations.
yes, it does, and a lot of paperwork and a lot of internal affairs, but it makes everything operate a much better level, thereafter. So anyway, so that was that was it. 2007 is when I retired after 23 years in the 911, and then I went out into the secular world and was security and safety for electronic business. Okay. And again, that was making sure that those people that were in the warehouse doing their jobs wasn't taking out electronics. So
Okay.
that was taxing,
Really?
and it was a big change for me.
Right.
I'm used to being inside and air conditioned, and now I was in the warehouse and dealing with
Catching employees stealing.
yes.
Well, and you go from being the universal good guy to then being the bad guy.
It's
Right.
your
Because
fault.
you're
It's fault.
working dispatch. I mean,
Right.
you're here to help us.
Yes.
And then you get in that role. It's all.
It was a different. Yes, it was a different deal. And that's the part that I didn't like about it. But at the same time, I tried to keep in mind that these people have a job to do, and of course I've got a job to do, and I'll do what I have to do to make sure everything is taken care of.
Yeah.
How many people did you have to walk out? A bunch.
Oh, mercy. Over the 10 years that I was there, yes.
Yeah, that's
A lot
crazy.
of people. I remember, and again, we were dealing with, when I say electronics, most of it was phones.
Yeah.
And our
okay.
companies that we dealt with, because we were a recycling business, we would get brand new stuff from AT&T and T-Mobile, and I mean all the big companies out there. But I remember, there was a time that I did have people that was on my side and would let me know, "Hey, Stan, might want to keep an eyeball on this person or that person." And it was an unfortunate thing. I hated it with everything in me, but I was informed that there was a lady, and of course this was before we cracked down on a lot of things. So we had a scanner, that they walk through, can't beat, this and that. And I can still hear that scanner going off at times. But anyway, I was informed that this lady, she had a pill bottle, and of course they would put the pill bottle, on the table and so forth, as they would before they go through the scanner.
Right.
Well, I'd always just okay. Well, somebody told me, they said, "Hey, Stan, I think she's putting SIM cards in that pill bottle," and I said, "Oh, okay. I appreciate the heads up." And of course, I had never thought anything about it, because people are honest.
Yeah.
I know y'all deal with that.
Yeah.
People that
All the time.
they just give you honest information. And so
I'm realizing now that you're a sarcastic person. I didn't.
yes, that's right.
You said that the first time, and I was like
Yes, right. Are you with me?
yes.
Okay, good. So anyway, the next time she come through, then I opened the pill bottle up, and sure enough, just loaded up with SIM cards, because she was going to take them to our wonderful Traders Village, and
yeah.
make a little extra cash because I'd found out too that she had 7, children
Dang.
and working hard, and so she just needed a little extra income. But I hated it because, of course, we unfortunately had to terminate her that day. But I could tell you story after story after story of how people tried to get stuff out of the warehouse. Crazy.
What's some of the most creative ones?
Probably one of the most creative ones.
Anybody drop down from the ceiling on a rope?
Well, I had one pretty close. The way the warehouse was, and of course, I didn't know it at the time, but I had somebody come up to me and say, "Hey, I think a couple of guys are throwing what they had made. I guess they wasn't socks, but they had made up some paper or whatever and put a bunch of cell phone accessories in them because we got a lot of new stuff. And of course, we dealt with a lot of old stuff. That's why we're recycling. But there was a little crack in the way the building was built. And so they had gone up to the wall and they had thrown all this stuff out and was able to get it through that crack and it would go outside. And I mean, they had done several. And of course, they tell me that. Well, then I'm thinking, code 3, I got to get outside quick to recover this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I get out there and there's all this stuff that's laid out on the ground, and of course we had videos.
Yeah.
And you go back and see who they are, and then that ain't gonna work. That's not
Yeah.
good. So
I wouldn't feel bad about that at all.
Excuse me.
I wouldn't feel bad about that at all.
Which part? Throwing it out or?
No. No.
Oh, come here. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no. Just crazy stuff. And like I said, I mean, there's some pretty rough folks that were there, unfortunately.
Yeah. I know before we keep talking, you kind of talked about how you got into dispatching and whatnot, and when you moved over to the police fire combo. But then you're just like, I worked here from till 07 when I retired. That's a giant chunk of years, or a pretty big chunk of years. I don't want to just go past that. Whenever you were obviously you start off, you're using the old card system, you're getting introduced to the new enhanced 911. I imagine there's some pretty significant changes took place over the course of those years. What were some of those changes?
Well, the biggest change for me, and I remember Chief Corbin, as I mentioned to you, a man that I hold in high regard. He had told me years and years ago, and I've said this over the years, there's only one thing, he told me one day, he said, Stan, there's only one thing that likes change. And he said, that's a wet baby. I said, Chief, I think you might be right.
Yeah, I like the way you put that.
Because I personally have a hard time with change sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I did see, as you mentioned, going from writing stuff to now we're doing this computer thing, and you got all that going on in 911. And
did that come out with the enhanced 911?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, all that. So one of the biggest changes, though, in my career was when we had the EMD, Emergency Medical Dispatch.
Okay.
Okay, which
What's
we
that?
use to this day. It's pre-arrival instructions, medical.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the dispatcher really does and can save somebody's life before the paramedics get there.
Oh, for sure.
So, the 911 goes off, and in our case, we answered the phone and we were dispatching too. It's all that, we're doing all that.
Right.
But we're also answering the phone, and on a medical situation, now we're doing this emergency medical dispatch where we're giving pre-arrival instructions.
Right.
And we're asking all these questions, And so it's like, really? Because backing up to when I was in the fire station, okay, got a major accident or you got a heart attack or whatever the case was, then I would hit the pre-alert tones, beep, 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 and say, heart attack, give the address. And that pre-alert, after I give that to them, because it goes over all the station speakers, then that's when I go to the cards to see who's actually supposed to respond to that location.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you're throwing in a deal that I got to do this emergency medical dispatch thing where I've got to stay on the phone and I've got to talk to these people and make sure I get all this information, that's on the computer,
Right.
to where I can give those pre-arrival instructions
Right.
to those paramedics that are en route.
Were you still running the old box system and cars and everything at the same time?
I
or did
think
it
no. I
transition?
think that had already changed over to the computer part, but still, you've just got all that computer stuff going on, and I still remember to this day, my previous boss. I told him, I said, man, I just want to get it out. Just get it out. Tell them go.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you do need to tell them get it out and go, and you do that well. But you need to do the pre-arrival stuff.
Right, yeah.
And I did eventually.
Nowadays they do pre-arrival stuff for us too.
Right.
So they're always asking them, and like a lot of times in my job, when I'm listening to 911 calls, people get all kinds of mad because like, yeah, I'm calling you because these two people are fighting, or I'm calling you because someone's stealing.
Right.
Like description, or do they have weapons?
Right.
Do they have history of mental illness?
Absolutely.
All these questions, and
People get mad.
Get all kinds of.
Absolutely.
Just come out here. I told you they fighting.
Well, and that's what you're dealing with. I mean, and again, seconds count. You guys know that seconds count, and as a telecommunicator, you realize how important that is. That you've got to. Of course, stay calm and all that stuff, but you've got to paint that picture for the responding units, whether you're police officers or firefighters. You've got to paint the picture of what they're going into.
Right.
And it's very vital. I remember one call that I did get from a lady, and she was from London, I guess, because she said, I answered the phone 911. She goes, I need a taxi. And I said, oh, and of course I saw her address. And I said, oh, you need a taxi, okay. I said, well, I confirmed her address. I said, well, what's going on? Where do you need to go? He said, well, and she was elderly. She said, well, my son, he's a pilot for Delta, and he's flying right now, but I need a taxi. And she just kept going over and over, I need a taxi. And I said, well, okay, so. I kept, trying to get more information out of her. Anyway, long story short, instead of just blowing her off and saying, hey, Of course, back then, do y'all know what phone books are?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So old detectives used to hit people with.
Yeah, exactly. But instead of getting a phone book and, finding the first taxi place, the more I talked to her, we realized she was needing an ambulance.
Oh, okay.
Because, over there where she's from, that's what they call them, taxis. But she needs an ambulance.
Yeah.
And not to sound bad or nothing, but she apparently had not had a bowel movement in days.
Oh, no.
So anyway, the paramedics got there and, got her all loaded up and got her to the hospital and got her taken care of.
That's funny.
So, it's one of those deals you go home at the end of the day and go, I did make a difference today. Lady needed a taxi.
Sure. Yeah.
See, I would have went a totally different direction. You need a taxi? Yes, ma'am. We'll send somebody out.
You would have cussed her out.
And she going to jail. Not 911 abuse.
Right.
You go to jail. 911 abuse.
Yeah.
Until she goes, no, sir, I'm backed up.
Right.
Oh,
I see.
You don't need a taxi. You need an ambulance.
Yeah,
Exactly.
an ambulance, man, with some prune juice.
But we got to use that tape as a training because I was part of training new dispatchers and so forth.
Yeah.
We got to use that. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take anything face value because sometimes you gotta dig deep to see what's really going on.
And if you hear an English accent, there's a good chance they're backwards.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's funny. Now, we always talk about how nice you are and positive and whatnot, but over the course of that long answering phones and dealing with people, surely there's a couple of calls that just really made you want to just flip or hang up or something. I can tell by your face. I know that.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to be honest.
Don't
here.
give me an elevator answer.
No, I won't give you an elevator answer, but I will be honest on this one. I think that in my career, of course, you always get frustrated when maybe you don't understand what the caller's trying to tell you, And of course, one of the things that I got to see implemented in my career was, different languages where we could, hook people up with languages around the world to find out, exactly what are you telling me?
Line.
Yeah, language line, right. Yeah. So, that. But I personally, I think after 9/11, that hit me hard.
Yeah.
And I know it hit everybody hard. But I had to get past those callers that would call and I knew who they were. And it's like, I still got to help these people, if that makes any sense.
You mean like frequent flyers, like people who
Right.
it's their definition of an emergency, but maybe not actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Stan, you got to put that aside. You've been doing this a long, long time, and you know that's happened, but you got to press on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's I wouldn't have thought of that.
But
I
it's,
don't know if I want to ask if you have any goofy or nasty stories
okay, so
from calls.
yeah, we've
But the
had
last dispatcher we talked to,
we still talking about that stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any crazy stories? Like, I don't know, off the wall, just totally different dispatching stories.
Well, and that's, again,
He's about to be really polite.
no, that's funny that you ask, because after all these years of doing that, and I consider it a gift, or I guess I would consider it a blessing that the Lord's helped me with, is that those bad things that sometimes, as I know y'all unfortunately see, and sometimes you just can't shake, is that, the Lord's helped me to not have to remember some of those things. I remember the April the 1st, this wasn't a crazy incident, but I remember the April the 1st working the evening shift, which was April Fool's Day, and this was no Fool's Day joke. But we'd gotten a call about a guy that was driving the wrong direction, lights off on 121 at a high rate of speed. And it being in the evening time, and of course, after the first call, then right after that, the phones lit up.
Right.
And it was a horrific, major accident, head-on collision that took the lives of the intoxicated person that was driving, along with the family that was going the other direction. And as that turned out, it was actually a officer's daughter that was pregnant, but an officer's daughter from Dallas that was in the DWI unit, of all things. And it took his daughter and her unborn child, and then her husband and another daughter's life. And so, lost, 5 people in one crash. But, those things you just don't forget, you know. But it's not a crazy call.
Yeah.
But it's one of those calls that you wish, unfortunately, you didn't have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do to, like you said, to kind of shake some of that stuff off, like as far as in your personal life, whenever you're not at work?
Well, my faith is what I hold on to.
Okay.
I grew up in church. I was blessed to grow up in a Christian home, and my uncle ministered, my father ministered, and then as time went by, I felt like God's call was on my life, so I surrendered to the ministry back in '95, after I'd actually already been ministering since '84, but with my father-in-law in our church.
The ministry meaning like as a
I was
preacher?
preaching, yes,
Oh, okay.
preaching. And so I preached my first message in '84, and then I struggled with the call, and should I not, da. But in '95 I surrendered to preach, and so during that course of time, I was able to be one of the chaplain coordinators and work with the pastors in Louisville.
Oh, cool.
So that was about 12 years I got to do that there. And so that was a blessing. So
Is that something you still do now?
I do. I still
Do you?
do that. Yep. I don't get to do as much as I used to because
Right.
our church, unfortunately, because of COVID, we were just a country church and a small country church. So we unfortunately had to close down.
Oh, man.
So anyway, and my father-in-law, been our pastor for well over 35 years. So, but I assisted him. But anyway, but we've since found a home church, here in Grand Prairie, and having the time of our life. So,
Very cool.
anyways, that's what I hold on to. It's just my faith in Christ, and pray. And I don't, all these years I've always, of course, it's been a job, for me to do, but I always look at it being much more than that.
Right.
Is more or less a calling for officers and firefighters, because I absolutely love our officers and our firefighters and what all they do and whatever I can do to help them.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps me going. When the Lord opened the door up here for me to come to work and, be able to come back home to the family.
Yeah.
Because that's what we are. That's what we say. We're family.
Mm-hmm.
And when he opened the door for me to be able to come here back in 17, then, at least I don't ever have to deal with something life-threatening. But then at the same time, it can be life-threatening because of the stuff that y'all have to deal with.
Right.
And so I just try to be that light to y'all because I know, as I even told our, some of the members in our church the other night, I said, they deal with very dark hours, and I don't take it lightly because of the things y'all have to deal with, things y'all see. But if I can somehow, if I can somehow lighten the load, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Because y'all are incredible people, from the dispatchers, to the officers, the firefighters, even our public service people and, animal control, anybody that's in public service.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with humanity, you're dealing with people. And, those days can be tough.
Yeah.
This is when you start to talk about a great organization, and it's like every day I passed in and we smile and you give us energy, you give us good vibes, you have to have it. Like, you know what I mean? I need that, because what you saying is like, man, you go out and you deal with, I think they used to say the 3% of the public.
Yeah.
And it could be taxing. When every time you walk up, you're hearing somebody's problem, this person's problem.
That's right.
And it's like, man, we have to stick together. We have to come together. But I always tell people, it's okay if the police officers are the one that are shining. We're shining. We're doing a great job. But it's the people behind the scenes that make it flow and make it a good workplace. So I can sit here and tell you, I appreciate it, because sometimes it's something as simple as, I think I was taking a shower and then the water is not draining. Well, you don't want it to flood into the bathroom and then flood into the locker room.
Yeah.
Mr. Stan, you got a minute? Oh, sure, KD, come on in. Okay, so I was upstairs, and he was like, well, which one is? I don't know. You go down, it's on the right. But it's just little stuff like that to helps make everything just keep flowing. Because where we came from, you couldn't bring your uniform and get it serviced.
Right.
We didn't have extra towels. If you didn't have a towel, you sharing a towel. You just nasty that day.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that, and it's like, man, I appreciate it, because I learned early on, if there's something in house, get with Stan. And it's like, oh, there's not really. You've never once said, Katie, that's not my realm.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I'll get it figured out. So I'm telling you, on behalf of the officers, the men and women here, we appreciate it, my brother.
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Oh, you're kind.
So, yeah,
Not just what you do, the attitude you do it with, because
Yeah.
it even just like passing you, and you always have, because like I said, we deal with a lot of stuff, a lot of same things you dealt with, and wherever you were dispatching and whatnot. But we're not always good at, I don't know, handling it well. Which I think sometimes we use it as an excuse to be in a poor mood. I know me personally, something that goes wrong or something makes me upset. Sometimes I'll just I'm in a bad mood. This pisses me off, and I'm just like, okay, this is the mood I'm in now. And I know you have things that happen throughout your day that you're not crazy about. But see the fact that I've never seen you pissed off, never seen you in a bad mood. It's a good thing to see and remind us, like, man, I don't, just because something bad happened, I don't have to be pissy about it.
all day.
And sometimes we wind up in a little kind of like sort of a bad mood echo chamber with other cops, where we're all just being pissy about different things. So it's good to. It is very appreciated.
Well, thank
the
you.
attitude that you bring to
Well,
work.
y'all help me more than you know. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You are something else.
Well, and then also, Stan's wife was in CPA. How many classes ago? 2?
Oh, really?
I think it's a couple of classes ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the Citizens Police Academy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she had a good time, and I loved having her in there.
Well, thank you. Yeah. We actually met. This is a real quick story, but over at Dallas Baptist, back then it was called college, but we met on January the 30th, 1984.
Yeah.
And anyway, asked her to marry me. We were in sociology class, night class, and I worked security over there, deep night. And so, yeah, it wasn't cool back then. But, yeah, no, actually, I enjoyed it. But it was kind of funny because she wound up getting on security. Well, I stayed in the dorm. And, in fact, a guy by the name of Joe Copeland, he wanted to be a Dallas cop and was. And, unfortunately, he battled cancer in his past. But Kim and Joe would be on the night patrol, and there I am in the dorm, with the doors that are locked. You can't leave. You're locked in. Yeah, you have a
like that's
curfew.
against fire code.
I was gonna say, that's against all code.
No, you're locked in. So, well, I'm sure we could have gotten out if there was a fire, but I see them drive around the patrol car, knowing that the one that I'm in love with, she's out there with that guy. But anyway. I said all that to say this. We were in sociology class. I still remember I was on the very back wall. She walked in. When she walked in, I said, "Yep, that's going to be my wife." It was 7 o'clock class at night. And anyway, nobody had said anything yet. And, of course, the lady that was our instructor, professor, her husband was a Dallas officer. And anyway, she had us all introduce ourselves, and Kim said, "I'm Kim Wilson. My, major's criminal justice," because that's what our majors were. And so anyway, I'd said, that's it. Well, I had to go to work that night. Well, when we left class, I, of course, introduced myself. How you doing? And
there was shooting his shot.
so, anyway, talked to her that night as I was leaving. I had to go, get changed and get to work. And I've talked to her every day since. But I met her January the 30th, asked her to marry me March 19th. Took her over to our church.
My birthday, that's dope.
March 19th?
Yes, sir.
Took her over to the church, got on the one knee, asked her to marry me. I still remember what her mom said. She said, because I had to go all the way to Dallas to get the ring.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm going to propose to her because she was sleeping. She had worked deep night. So I said, when she wakes up, I'm taking her over to church. I'm going to propose to her. She, "Now, son, are you sure you know what you're doing?" I said, "Absolutely, I know what I'm doing." But anyway, met her January 30th, asked her to marry me March 19th, got married July the 9th, and we just celebrated 40 years.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
So if I tell you, I'm telling you the truth, the Lord's been good to me and has given me a Proverbs 31 wife. She is above all of it.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I love it too.
Well, thank you, Katie.
That's awesome. I don't think I haven't met her yet.
Well, you need to.
That's a great story. I don't know what proverb my wife is from, but when I met her, she hit me in the face.
Wow. Okay.
Turn the other cheek. A
A little bit of a story.
My goodness. Anyway.
Oh, man. So what does your wife do?
Well, now she's retired because we did work together at the electronic place.
Okay.
But she, of course, we homeschooled our son.
Did you really?
He's 35 now, and he's in
I was
fact
homeschooled too growing up.
Yes. So, and he wound up graduating from Texas A&M.
Very cool.
And in fact, he's supposed to be coming home. In a week from this Saturday. He's been in St. Thomas for a few years. So yeah, looking forward to him getting home. But anyway,
What is he? I'm sorry, hang on. What does he do? And are they hiring?
Well, no, he does freelance stuff. I guess he's a computer nerd and does stuff. Yeah.
So he's like, I'll just live in one of the greatest places on the
I
planet.
guess. Well, he didn't think it was too great the other night when that hurricane was pushing through.
That's fair.
It wasn't a Category 1 yet, but he did get a lot of wind.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's doing
man, that's
okay.
awesome.
But yeah. But anyway,
It's almost like finishing college is a good thing.
yeah. So anyway,
That's fantastic.
yeah, I think lost my train of thought. Can you believe that?
Sorry, I heard St. Thomas and living, and I was like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna stop and like, wait, St. Thomas? That's awesome. Have y'all been out there to see him?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
See, I'm scared to fly.
Oh, you asked me what
Same.
my wife does. So anyway,
Yes,
I said all that to say this. I'm glad your memory's working. So what were we talking about? So she takes care of my in-laws that are right next door.
oh, okay.
And they've got, unfortunately, they're in their 80s and a couple of strokes and heart attacks. So
Right.
she's got her hands full.
Yeah.
Sure.
And, of course, takes care of our home, takes care of me.
Did she ever look at you and just like, hey, how many careers are you going to do? Can we call it a
Well,
day?
and I've told her, and I've been asked here. Remember, I told y'all about Mr. Ed. He was 78 when he left. So I'm
Right.
thinking, and I'll be 60 in November. So it's like, well, I guess 18. No, I'm not doing that many more years.
Right.
But,
Yeah. That's quite a few.
yeah, as long as the Lord gives me health, I'm going to keep trucking along right here.
Yeah.
Because this is home.
Right. See, that's something your generation has that mine does not.
Right.
I personally don't.
Don't
I'm just gonna keep working because I like it or it's a call.
Yeah.
See if I can retire and go to St. Thomas, hang out with your kiddo.
Okay.
Yeah, send me his info.
Okay.
Well, so beyond just, and I'm saying this because we
That's fine.
try to keep it around an hour.
Sure.
Besides just, I guess, do you have anything else in mind you want to do, or you're just so dead set happy with what you do every day? You're just going to keep doing
I
it.
just enjoyed. I really do. I really enjoy
Yeah.
coming. Somebody asked me. I think it was even today. He said, do you really enjoy coming to work? Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
I love coming to work
That's awesome.
because y'all know every day, even for myself,
Yeah.
every day is different. Y'all don't know what the next call you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know the next shower head that's going to pop off,
Right.
or the next sink that's going to
yes, we
stop up.
do. There's a camera in the back.
Oh, I forgot. Well, okay. So, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, that's exciting that there's going to be something occur or, somebody I can help. And that's what I want to do. I just want to keep helping people.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So,
Well, I need to have more of your attitude.
well,
Yeah, more Stan.
Yeah.
More Stan. We're going to put that on the shirt.
no.
Only you will get zero proceeds.
No, don't. You're a
need
mess.
more Stan.
No.
Okay, so wrapping up,
Yes.
what is something that you would tell even a youngster just starting out? It doesn't necessarily have to be in support services, but like, police world.
Yeah.
What is some advice? What would you tell somebody just starting out trying to get started?
Well, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, if you can get a scanner, I'd encourage you to listen to the different calls. I mean, because unfortunately, y'all know this. The generations that are coming in now, they just come in because a lot of times they look at the pay. Okay, I
Yeah.
can make that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, y'all know we have to chew gum, spit, walk, and do 5 other things
Right.
at the same time.
Right.
And even though it may, sound basic,
Yeah.
it's really important that you just get a feel. I know it encourages y'all when you hear people say, well, yeah, my uncle or my dad or, a relative, was in the business.
Right.
It's real important because I'm telling you, and again, it's not, y'all know this too, it's not TV.
No.
This is not TV out there. I know you can watch all the shows, Blue Bloods and all that, which is my favorite. I think Tom Selleck ought to be the president, but anyway, I'm sorry. But, all kidding aside, it's not TV.
Yeah.
It's real business.
It's funny you said about Blue Bloods because I think I was talking to my mom the other day, and she made a comment about trying to get everybody together. She's like, man, because a lot of people in my family are all cops.
Yeah.
And she can't get everybody on the same days off. I was like, yeah, it's not Blue Bloods. You're not a rookie cop
Right.
on Sunday having dinner with
No.
your police chief dad, also with your homicide, kidnapping, theft, robberies
Right.
detective guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would be neat to get the whole family together.
would be nice,
and
yeah.
have the dinner because that's what I always enjoy the scene is that
Right,
they
yeah.
all come together. And of course, Grandpa, he was the first commissioner, and
Right.
he's a man of wisdom.
Yeah.
But again, we call ourselves family here
Yeah.
because we've all got our. You've got my 6, and I had that happen the other day. I don't want to go over time, and I had that happen the other day. I was leaving work, and there was a guy on a looked like a motorized bicycle, and he'd come right up to our gate. And as I was walking out to my car to leave, I walked up to him and I said, hey buddy, is there something I can do to help you? And he goes, well, I want to change in my life. And of course, that kind of threw up a quick red flag, and I'm thinking,
Right.
well, I know I don't have a weapon on me, but okay.
Hopefully he means
But
good change.
anyway.
Yeah.
Long story short, I talked to him and I tried to encourage him. I even told him, hey, but he said, I can't decide if I want to be a policeman or a fireman. And I said, well, okay. I said, I encouraged him, come up here and,
Sure.
Be a part of the Explorers or whatever the case might be. And anyway, I just gave him all kinds of words of encouragement. But I said all that to say this. that while I was at that gate, and sometimes it would open because a car would come through, and then it would close, and I'd still be talking to him. I bet you I had at least 5 to 6 officers that, as they were passing by, coming through the gate, whatever, one officer coming through the gate just did this through his windshield, and I go, yep. And others would roll their window down, Stan, everything all right? Everything okay?
Yeah.
Had one officer literally stop his car, squad car, and step out, and he was fixing to head over to me. He goes, Stan, everything okay? Yes, sir, everything's okay. So I said all that because, y'all have got my 6, and we should have your 6. So, and for those that don't know what a 6 is, we've got your back, and in all cases, and that's a day that I won't forget.
Yeah.
They could. They're all busy. They could have just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he's talking to the guy on the other side of the gate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But then after the guy drove off, I thought, well, I'm glad that it turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
Because we live in a time. Again, this is not TV.
Right.
Yeah.
He could have said, you know what, I'm about ready to be done with this.
Yeah.
What's like you said? Yeah.
And
I
that was his first
life.
question. I'm sorry. That was his first question, is that he said, are you a police officer? And I said, no, sir, I'm not. So I don't know if that was letting him know I don't have a gun on me. I don't know.
Yeah. There's no telling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like you said, saying I want to change my life. I think most people would hear that and think, oh, well, good for you, buddy. He and I first heard that, and
Right.
you too.
Yes.
We hear that, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, you might mean in a really bad way.
Yeah,
Right,
it's go
right.
time. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, no, it's about to be go time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't have nothing to go to
Yeah.
Go away.
You give them the hands. Give them the hands.
through the gate.
Yeah.
Well, Stan, we sure appreciate it, man. Glad to finally get to sit down
Yeah.
and chat with you
Well, thank you so much.
after all the good mornings and little mood pickups. Sure
Well, I look
appreciate it.
forward to seeing you in the days ahead, and thank y'all for the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Well, until next time,
Until next time.
we'll see you.
Appreciate it, Stan.
You bet.
Do you know where his office
You have
is?
to hit buttons now.
Do you know where his office is?
I didn't know you had an office.
I
Makes
feel
sense.
privileged.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're the man.
Yeah.